New York City has over a dozen military sites and memorials. Almost all are hidden in plain sight.
The Dutch sailed up the Hudson River 1609 under the English sailor Henry Hudson. They settled this area 1624, calling it New Amsterdam. They built their wall along Wall Street now, hence the name, at 1653. The British took New Amsterdam 1664, and then the British took the wall down 1699.
We're down Broadway onto Wall Street, where the Dutch built a defense wall on the northern edge of New Amsterdam. That famous Wall Street historic plaque is in a walled-off area. I can't go there, but police are there. And there it is, Wall Street 1653 by the Dutch. George Washington, where that wall along Wall Street was. Walking down for more military sites along Broad Street to South Ferry. And yeah, the Courageous Girl statue moved here 2017. She was in front of the Bull, about 3 blocks away. Hello. Armed camp with a lot of security, like we saw at Wall Street and Broadway. Here's the gateway. These are security cars, or cars that have business here. A few delivery trucks, only for real need vehicles come here. Looking at South Ferry, there's One New York Plaza, 1970. And here you see over here that tan building, the Standard & Poor's building, 1972. World's biggest spreadsheet is in there. And looking to the left is that yellow building there, Fraunces Tavern, George Washington's farewell address. Fraunces Tavern, built 1719, Washington's farewell address in December 1783. Here at 1 Broadway, really 1 Broadway, one of the oldest streets in America. Here a plaque remembering that the Dutch built a fort here in the 1654, and then also General Washington was here in 1776 and had a retreat, and then General Howard the British occupied this area up until Evacuation Day. Bowling Green Park in July 1776, New Yorkers pulled down the statue of King George III. Then the British took the city like a month, 6 weeks later. Fitting that the Museum of Native Americans is now here at the U.S. Custom House, Lower Manhattan, because the Native Americans are here. The first Americans, really. The Dutch bought Manhattan, 1624, for the equivalent of $24, as told, from the Native Americans. And it was all peaceful. No war over this. A site for one of the Ghostbuster movies. Written in Dutch. And here's Dutchmen with Native Americans, 1626. Peter Minuet. Testimony. And written in English, this monument flagpole. Built 1926 by the Dutch government. 300th anniversary of Dutch settling here. Dutch ship actually first came to this area again in 1609.
Merchant Marine plaque outside the U.S. Custom House.
Monument to Giovanni da Verrazzano, 1524, the first European to come to New York Harbor. He was Italian on a French Navy ship here. inside Castle Clinton, shutting finally 1824, and then turned to an aquarium, amusement area in Manhattan. Lower Manhattan got wider and bigger and enveloped the water around this castle, the East Fort. In World War II, around 4,000 American men died in the Atlantic against the U-boats. Of these 8 obelisks, 5 are for the Navy. 1 is for the Army, Air Force, another for the Coast Guard, and another mix of Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines. All these kind of memorials that personalize every man killed. Orlando Bowen, Seaman First Class, USN, from North Carolina is one. Monument to Admiral George Dewey, erected May 1st, 1973, the hero of the Spanish-American War from 1898. South Ferry, the Coast Guard Memorial, 1955, has actually a black American in the center, which was rare for back then. Now here at 9/11 Memorial, Special Forces here at the Greek Orthodox Church, this little somewhat unknown area to monument to our Special Forces, the Green Berets, 5th Army Special Forces, but that also would include UDT SEALs, Marine Force Recon, the Air Force, paramedics. It's kind of out of the way at the Sphere, and statue of Spec Ops on horseback, and here we come. Here, like this sign, no drones. Here we go. Special Operations, an American on horseback shortly after September 11. 2 months later, Army Special Forces landed in Afghanistan. They got horses too from the locals. So all Spec Ops from all 4 branches again. Here at the Sphere, it was in the center of the World Trade Center, designed by the German artist Fritz Koenig. He's kind of military. Fritz Koenig, born 1924. He was in the Wehrmacht during World War II, captured on the Eastern Front. He died 2017. Fritz Koenig. And the Sphere, now busted up, but it's the center of World Trade Center before September 11. We're looking down at World Trade Center. Here at the Port Authority bus station, 8th Avenue, 42nd Street, the world's biggest bus station, 300,000 passengers a day, is a statue to Ralph Kramden, the 1950s TV show The Honeymooners. And although Ralph Kramden is not military, he is a man in uniform. Ralph Kramden, dreamer. We have heroes at Times Square. That flag is America's most famous military recruiting station. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they all cram into there. But there's a plaque here of American heroes, New York State. And it is right here. Medal of Honor winners from New York State. Now I count here 150 Medal of Honors from New York State since the Civil War. Medal of Honor started 1863, Northern Forces. That New York State has more Medal of Honor winners than anywhere, 676. There's 150 listed here from the Civil War to the War on Terror. One of them, for instance, is First Lieutenant John Warren, Vietnam War, from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, born 1946, died 1969 in Vietnam, saving his platoon. Also amongst New Yorkers, the one-woman Medal of Honor woman, Dr. Mary Walker from the Civil War. Now here's a plaque put out by the theaters and Broadway shows here at 218 West 44th, 218 West 44th. If you blink, you'll miss it, really. How the theaters and the shows and the actors put out a canteen for the servicemen during World War II, 41 to 45, and it reads, beginning during all the combat days of the war between the United Nations and the Axis powers, the American Theater Wing Stage Door Canteen occupied this site. This tablet is dedicated to the men and women of the entertainment world who brought cheer and comfort to the soldiers, sailors, and Marines of America and her allies. Thank you, Broadway shows, for doing that during World War II in our fight against Hitler, Mussolini, and the Japanese. George M. Cohan, song and dance man, 1873 to 1942. Patriotic songs. You're a Grand Old Flag, Over There, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. George M. Cohan here at Times Square, more specifically 46th Street at the intersection of Broadway and 7th Avenue. Father Duffy, near the statue of George M. Cohan, about 100 feet away. Father Duffy was a priest at Holy Cross Church on West 42nd Street. In World War I, 1917, he joined the U.S. Army to become a chaplain, caring for soldiers in need. An upstanding man, Father Duffy, here at Times Square, really closer to 47th Street. At 6th Avenue and 57th Street are the three equestrian statues to the Latin American heroes Jose Marti, Jose San Martin, and Simon Bolivar. The statue of William Tecumseh Sherman, General, Northern Forces, American Civil War. General William Tecumseh Sherman, American Civil War, marched through Georgia, 1864. See the movie Gone with the Wind. He lived the last 8 years of his life in New York City, dying in 1891. Last, for what it's worth, I'm also U.S. Army Reserve retired, 27 years, 10 of it active duty. I spent 5 years away from home, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Little Iraq. I give my wife more credit. She's home with 3 little kids while I'm off. Thank you. Well, I hope you liked this video, Military Sites in New York City. I worked in the Wall Street area in the 90s, O's, teens, system technician, and I wasn't even aware of these military sites until I put this video together. Thanks again.